Good morning, everyone, and I'm back again. My name's Aaron Dishno, and this is Walk the Web. We're doing 3D browsing. We are doing today. We're going to dive into some animations and see if we can't teach a man to sit. So we're going to start with that. We're going to play around with the avatars and manipulate them a little bit, um, get it to load an animation on the fly, use it, and be able to even unload it when we're all done. So that's going to be kind of the process, seeing if we can't, see if we can't get it to work that way, and then we'll go from there. So, okay, to start out, first thing we're going to do. First thing I'm going to do is, okay, we have the scene, we have a guy. Notice yesterday we played around and we worked on the different things so that we can adjust how fast he walks, how fast he moves, the different turn speeds. We played around with a lot of that and got it to work. What's going to happen now is we're going to issue a handful of sequences. The first thing is I have to fix something about the chair. We did some highlighting, so that kind of stuff all works now. But one of the things about this chair is I created an action zone which tells it that we can create a seat. When we create this seat, what it does is it put a box above a seated area, and that's basically where the person will sit, and it helps activate and guide the positioning for where they're going to sit. Next, the first thing here is there's a piece that's broken, and I need to find out. I think it's not necessarily broken. I have to enable it still. But when I pick a shape to add, I want to come in here and select, for example, the seat here. And see, it adds a couple pieces here like it knows it's there, but guess what it does? It does some weird stuff. I used to highlight with the opacity, telling it which pieces it uses. It's not loading them properly. There's a handful of different pieces here. I want to make sure that these are happening the way they're supposed to. We can select the different objects and it automatically knows which ones are selected. There's a couple pieces related to this, and we use the same thing when we're dealing with doors and we tell it which pieces are part of the door to swing. But the difference is I was using an opacity, and now when I highlight things, as you can see, I use this glow, the outer glow of it's part of the layer system of Babylon. So with that in mind, we're going to jump in here and see if we can't clean up some of that, make this work properly, load the objects that we've already selected when we load it. We're going to check into the database, see what it's actually doing. We're going to check into the functionality and make sure it can do what we want. But then once we know that these two parts are part of a chair, then what I want to do is when I move my mouse over them, I want it to automatically say, click to sit. So that we know you can just mouse click, boom, or tap to sit, select to sit. And if you click on it, then basically we're going to start an animation that takes the guy, walks over in front of it, turns to his back to it, then goes into a sitting animation, and then a sitting idle. Then if you try to walk, move, do whatever, or anything like that, then I want to make him, or let's see, maybe we'll have it where you click to stand up again. I don't know. We'll figure out what we want to do there, but I think maybe if you started to walk or if you do anything, then it automatically will stand up and then move into those other sequences. So that'll be an easy way in, easy way out of this particular thing. That's the goal. That's what I would like it to be able to do as we go. So we're going to try to create a sequence of different animations that get it to sit in the chair, and we first have to tell it the chair to give us the points where we can click on it and tell it what to do. That invisible box, that's my action zone, that's going to tell it where he will basically center and sit, and also which directions his legs need to go. That way, let's say I built a couch, I can put 3 of these little action zones telling it it's a seat, put it in 3 different places on the couch, and it'll automatically become a place that can be, an avatar can sit. So that is also leading us up to, you get a car, you click on the seat, and now he becomes the driver. So this kind of process is going to be used for more than just sitting on a chair, but there's a number of things we're going to get in here, because one of them is as we walk up towards a chair, it's going to automatically load the animations we'll need, but we're also going to clear those animations back out as we walk away, so that if he's not near a chair, we don't need the animations anymore, and we can, keep him without having too many animations loaded. Or when he walks up on one, it loads them, and then we just leave them loaded until we trigger something that tells it to clear more animations or something. But we'll play around with those different options. By writing the code that allows it to happen, that means when you have a game and you say, I want to load these animations for the avatar to use, you won't have a problem. We'll already have some processes in place to clear out old animations that aren't needed. You can load your own animations to take the place of the current ones, and we can have all kinds of manipulation happen at that point. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is when I open this particular thing, I clicked the wrong button. I've done that a number of times, and I'm wondering on my own situation here. The browser has the back button there, and when I go into a menu item, I put these arrows right underneath it, and for some reason I've clicked that one instead of this one a number of times. I don't know. Guess I'll have to get used to that on my own. But I'm the one who wrote it, and I'm doing it. I don't know if that's going to be an issue or not. Maybe I need to change the way that or where it's located or something, put it down at the bottom. I don't know. We'll play around with that later on. But for now, if I edit the action zone and I tell it to load this particular one, which is the zone that I have, the first thing I notice is that it is not loading any additional pieces here. So let's go into that particular part. Let's find out, first of all, which procedure it's executing. I'm just going to track it down this way. It just makes it a lot easier than doing these other things. Okay, so select action zone. Okay, let's find out where that is. And okay, let's get that out of here. And find in files. That'll give us the ID that we have. It's this one, and we have an onChange function right here. Open select action zone form. Okay, when it loads up the form, it gives us this onChange function to clear that and to load the new items, and then onChange select action zone to edit. Okay, copy that. That's the one I need. Find in files. Okay, we tracked it down. I just wanted to get to the procedure that runs when it opens up. When we select it, open action zone form, and that's the one. There we go. Open action zone form. Here we are. Now, this is where we're going to be building off of. Okay, first thing is we have the action zone ID. I want to know which ID it is so I know which one I'm working with. We're going to just spit that out on the page, or in the console log. It's a good idea to know which one we're working with, because then we can look it up in the database and we can see different properties that it uses, different things like that. We'll be able to figure out what it's doing. I want to know if it's saved them as we set them to those different pieces, or if it had a problem with that. But also, when it reloads, it should automatically load up those items and fill that list. There may be something right in here. For example, when it loads up passenger seat or driver's seat, then attach mold name, axle base. That may come into play. I designed it for a few different items, and then right now I don't have them all necessarily running. Type is not blank. Okay, so it's going to be running this process, and I have a feeling this particular piece, get action zone list, okay. Mold names, if mold names equal set new action zone. Okay, that's all fine. Okay, so this... Yeah, I'm just making sure. That's creating a new one. This is creating one that's already open. Okay, load action zone list. This is the piece that it didn't necessarily load, and I need to make sure that it can handle this type. So we're telling it what action zone ID it is. Then we're, wait a minute, get action zone list. Default load action zone ID. That one's fine. This one is get action zone list. No, that's the wrong one. Sorry. We're going to track it down. Okay, in here in the forms, how's everyone doing today? And okay, so in the forms, we have the action zone, and in this particular part, we have a section where we are bringing out, so if I come in here and load this, we have it load up the functions, which are telling us the right sizes, the right positions. It knows where that zone is. It's showing us the zone. All that part's functioning. It knows the load zone that it comes in under, and then it has this section right here. Let me find out. Right in here is the piece that tells it attach div action zone part list. That's what I want right there. Okay, in the action zone part list, what it's doing is it breaks down and shows us a list of the parts that currently have this particular item selected. Let's go to the console. Let me refresh the page so we get the latest version and find out what ID we're working with. Okay, I'm just tracking down a couple things, getting my bearings straight, and now we're going to fix it. Okay, when I open this up, we get the ID. It is right there. And now I can go, I want to see if, first of all, if the database has that particular item in it. So let's go to our current instance, which is this one, and tables. Action zones. Okay, we know the action zones are there. This is a thing molds that we're working with. And this is going to be, let me find the column here. Save channels is pickable, action zone ID. Ah, there it is right there. These are the two items. Okay, where action zone ID. And what this is telling me is that it's attached to it. If it was a swinging door and I attach it to the action zone, what happens is it becomes part of the hinged piece of door in the scene. By attaching these particular items here, what it's telling me is they are part of that action zone, and now I can manipulate them and tell them what I want it to do based on them being part of the clickable elements. So let's start with the basics. We know these pieces are loading in. We know that they're stored into the database, which means the only thing that didn't happen correctly is it did not load that particular section. Let's get back into here. It's right in here. And attach action zone. Oh, sorry. It was already expanded. What we have is action zone part list. Now what this is where it shows me a list of what parts have been loaded as part of that action zone. I have a feeling that in my code, basically I just didn't, I have something blocking it from actually reading that, like maybe there's a sentence that says, hey, if this is part of, let's see, okay, so if this is part of loading it, okay, here we go. Action zone part list ID, and here's the pieces that load with it. Is this particular function, let's see if we're in the right place. Open action zone form. We were right there. I was looking at it and didn't see it. Okay, this, maybe it didn't set them as, see, it's get children of this part. And if it didn't give me the list, it means it doesn't understand that those are children of that. There's some other piece of that when they load that determines this, and I think I saw it yesterday. When they load, let me look for passenger seat. There's one of these spots that trigger if it's a passenger seat, then how to load them. And I think it might be after attach mold name. That is not correct. I promise I've done this before. No, actually what it is there's a couple different places here in the code where I'm purposely telling it not to, like here I've got the mold name and I tell it to be the parent of the item. By being the parent, that's when I can grab the different pieces. So the fact that this right here, and action zone type equals driver seat, what I want to do is index of, and I'm going to make that just the word seat, because there's driver seat, passenger seat, and it's greater than -1. And we're going to get rid of the rest of this. That should, let me make sure I got the right number of, no I didn't. We do not need that one. Now, nope, I still have one too many. There we go. It's nice how it's highlighting it and telling me what I have here. Okay, so basically it's a seat, opposed to being a door, which is the swinging door, sliding door. Those all have the word door. Okay, I do have others. People mover, rotor, okay. So we're good on those, and that's going to tell it to use this particular function. That was the gist of why these things aren't loading properly. It's only because I added a new one. It's not that they didn't work in the first place. I just recently added this new version. And I'm purposely not getting rid of passenger seat and driver's seat because I did a lot of work on that before, and we'll revisit that when we're ready to add that back into the code. Okay, I believe that, yep, parentheses are all correct. And then here, see, this is where it, yes, we have, okay, same thing. If it's a type of seat, then we can always name more things type of seats. But in this particular case, now we don't need the or here to be the driver's seat. And we fixed that one. Okay, let me just copy that part of it. That'll save us a couple minutes. And okay, this part here, we did the same thing, which trips up the values, 0.2, 0.210. Those are not the dimensions that I want to use for this particular one. What is this? Set new action zone. Yeah, I think I'm already telling it to be a different one, but let's do it here. And I don't need to set that one because it's already being set someplace else. I don't think I need any of this for any of them. That's the axis. We're not even moving the axis. We're moving the other piece. Okay, so that part isn't so critical. I can set it. It doesn't matter. I'm not using it. We'll do it for all seats. Value index of seat. Make sure I didn't mess up my parentheses. Okay, we have this one. And once again, value of that is a seat. We're good on that. This one. Once I get these in place, then we'll have something we can test out, and we'll repair anything that is broken after that point, but we will definitely have these pieces in place. Okay, and let's go there. And here, this becomes more global too. So this is definitely fixing a couple issues that would have caused trouble. And that's all fine. That's all fine. Okay, let's see what we have. I want to see if it generates that list when we open it up. Let's check the console log first. And okay, the parenting happened, but the parenting did not put them in the right place, because probably put it at 0, 0, 0, which means that they're not in the scene now. Let's finish getting those pieces in place. Yeah, I know. There is a difference, and I can tell you what it is. When I did this originally, I used the axle base. Okay. See, now watch. What's going to happen is they're not in the right place because the offset isn't correct, but at the same time, they are, I bet, first of all, I bet they're in my scene, and I can find out by saying list the molds, current meshes, thing molds we have, and they're visible as true, and yes, no parent. Oh, that's interesting. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Those are the legs. And we do not have them loaded. Oh, that's really interesting, because that should have done it. Hold on. I know, just tripping my way through this, but this is a good point of interest, is if it doesn't have a parent, proper parent, then it automatically defaults back. I know it's wrong. We got to change the design of this a little bit. In the action zones, when we created this, let me go to passenger, find passenger seat. This particular one was created, and it automatically has a number of other boxes here. And I did that for a reason, but I don't necessarily want to do that. But because I created these different pieces, and I called it the axle opposed to the base, it doesn't work like the other seats that I had already created. Okay, I don't need it though. Yeah, the problem is it's not. Okay. I know, I'm backing out my changes I just made. Backing them out of that. I'm going to back them, that's not that one, it's this one. Truth is, it has its own issues. It doesn't have the parenting right, so I need to create the parenting the way it needs to be. Okay. Yeah. Let's go to where the parenting happens. That would be in the common. And it would be axle base. See, the thing is it doesn't have an axle. Oh, it has axle base. It does not have is there a reason to create it that way? Sorry, I'm just kind of thinking ahead on this piece. This is something so trivial and the position of this based on the axle base is how it becomes, yeah, dang it, I have to redo those. Sorry, we're going back to that design. I just realized why I did that in the first place. So we're going to create those back into place here, and then we're going to change the actual design of this to be more like the passenger seat design. I have my reasons, and basically it boils down to if I do it this way, I have full control over if I tilt, turn, or move the seat, it won't move the parenting, and everything balances out. So I've already designed all that into the model, and without doing that, I end up with I'm going to run into other issues. So it's actually easier to model it after the passenger seat, because it technically is just like a passenger seat. It's a spot that you sit in and it's done. I'm going to then need to fix in the action zone list. Notice I just remmed out seat for a moment, but that's only one part of it. Passenger seat, new passenger seat. That's only saying the name. And that tells it the scaling of the item. That's fine. Yeah, we'll be good. We'll be good. Okay, and this particular one, seat here, which is right after swinging door there, we have seat, and we need this one to be more like the passenger seat. So we're going to bring that list of what we have to move around and use up here. We can decide if we want to get rid of some of these items afterwards, but for the moment, okay, action zone parts div gets shown. I just totally messed that up. See, I missed it by one. That's what I was double checking. Didn't want to have one extra piece in there. So add seat is the only thing we have to change there. Camera position isn't going to matter. We'll show it and then decide which pieces we need to show or hide. Let's start, before we do too much of that, let's just remark out what we had here. Okay, so now, since I made it more like a passenger seat, let's see if how that affected everything. Okay, the chair's back, which is a good sign. And when I edit it, it's still loading my avatar, but there he comes. When I change this and I go to edit the item, okay, they moved. That's not a problem per se. That's just another adjustment where we didn't tell it to modify based on the piece. So that's all fine. That was more like what I expected to happen the first time. But see, now we do know these are sub items of that, and if I look down on the list, yes, we have the different parts automatically loading up here. We're a step closer. We're a step closer. That's kind of why I moved it this way. Now, based on this, the parts that we have, when we load the molds, and at the very beginning of this, we have a section that says if it's certain type of molds, then automatically adjust the position based on, okay. So the positions get adjusted. We have to transform the positions, and it counts for alternating positions, transforms here. Let me double check that. Transform position. Actually, I think it's right below this. No, it isn't. Okay, I probably put it in the common. Find in files. Find all. Add mold list. Our transformation equals that. Transformation equals that. Here's the function. Okay. Yeah, here it is. The type is door, sling, door, rotate, elevator, driving wheel, and turning wheel. Okay, so I'm not telling it to alter the positions based on this. We have one section that says seat. We should be doing this piece. Let's find out when we load, because I think because this piece is here, we have not told it to adjust the position. I think all I have to do is take that and transform them to this, and now we should have the new position. Let's find out. Okay, chair looks fine right now. We can highlight the different parts, edit that thing, edit the action zone, and new seat, and it moved it. Okay, so when I tripped that up, one of the repositioning pieces in the, yeah, I know what it is. Let me double check. Position Y would be what I want to see. But this is going to be once for every piece. Position Y equals that. And then I'm going to do, copy that, and after it does that piece, we'll do a 2. So 1 and 2. Let's do 1 and 2. I want to check and see that the position on the Y value has moved up or is still 0 or something. I want to find out what's going on there. And I want to see if that executed when I did that process. The basic position, see, it's been accounted for. So the position Y went from this to this, which accounts for the different heights. That's why that one worked. Those two pieces, which is this and this, that are part of the thing, that's all working. So when I edit this, there's something that's telling it not to run that part. And see, we get the part loaded, but we didn't run that transformation again. So I need to fix the transformation, or make sure that it's transforming those pieces. Okay, I'm going to take just a couple quick minute break here, refill my cup, and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back, and here we go again. Let's see, what do we have here? Hey, okay, pilot, how you doing today? Hey. How's it going? Okay, so let's get some things going here. That one only happened on that instance and did not happen for the other piece when I click to edit the particular item. So I need to check the edit part and make sure that the transformation happens when it recalculates when I'm in edit mode of where it stands. It's already being done for other parts, but I have a feeling that all I have to do is make sure that this seat command is also using that same functionality. So let's track that down. What we have is this part here where we were already working, of course. So we have that. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it would be the set new action zone. It's going to be in here. In fact, let me remark that out for a minute, and I want to see if that blocks it from happening. Then I don't chase my tail and go after the wrong thing. But let's see if we can't do something here. See, the chair is intact when it's being used. It's only when it's being edited that it's not intact, which tells me that, see, it didn't move those pieces of the chair, so it is part of this. So we're going to go into set new action zone. I have two different parts. I have set new mold and set new action zone. This happens to be part of, it happens to be what is being used while it's being edited to show you what it would look like after the edit is done. Then if you say save, it assumes all those changes that you were making and puts them into place. So here we have this. Okay, we have, yeah, I know that's all fine. I don't care about that part. Degree rotation. IND means we have a current action zone. We're reading in the different pieces. Then we have cases. We have cases based on this, which is any of the transformations. Position, passenger seat. See, this is where I think what I need is just like passenger seat. I need this to have the same type of thing for just plain seat. Then this gets acted on, access position gets modified, edit polls show up, that's all good. Default is not what we're running at this moment. And then we have this part, community, mold group, community. I don't have it set up for thing. Okay, that was the other part that I knew we may have to do. Okay, we'll get that piece in place. Copy that, put it here. I didn't set up certain things to work with things. Communities, molds. That's not right. It's community molds. Let me double check that. Find in files. I don't think that's correct. I don't think it's communities molds. Communities molds. Okay, then did I do it wrong one other time and say community molds? Find in files. Type prefix community molds. That's all fine. Just want to make sure I didn't type that wrong because I have a feeling that one was something I did. Do you ever just get the feeling you changed something and you shouldn't have? That's all fine. Community molds is the name of the section, but it's not the name of the array. Yeah, it's probably something I should change. Nope, we're good. Okay. But building molds is singular building. Okay, stuff like that drives me nuts. Okay, so we'll fix that at some point here. Thing molds. Thing molds and thing. Okay, so now we've accounted for starting with building molds, and then we went to community or thing. Now we have thing molds represented here, and then position and door parts are there. If this part, see, here's another sample where we did certain things based on if it's a sliding door thing, that, or scaling here. Scaling's fine. Okay, let me give that a shot. I think it might have just been a problem with this thing molds because it didn't update anything based on the molds, which this part wouldn't have come into play. So I think we may have just fixed that. Let's give it a shot. It's always good. Okay, and because they weren't working for things, they were only working for buildings and communities before. Now stays in place, and that thing's added. This particular box right there is, what is that one? That's the action zone. That's the hinge of the action zone. That's fine. That gives us a particular perspective about this. I don't have a problem that it shows that it's not a big deal when it's editing. That's fine. It's an orientation-ish thing. So that part's okay. We have camera position, camera rotation. It's the positioning. These are the dimensions of the action zone, which is what we want. That's all fine. Do we need... We don't need camera position. We do not need camera rotation. We don't need that right there. And we will have the position, and we don't necessarily want them to change the size. Okay, we're going to clean up a couple pieces here, but the good news is we now have these parts. I'll work on the highlighting next. We'll fix that. We're getting there, fixing the little pieces one at a time. But first of all, there's sections in this form that we do not use. So we're going to basically shut them out so that they don't show every time. Starting with, I know there's two ways to do this. I can just highlight this right here and say, where's that camera position? It is part of this div right here. And we don't need any of that. So that particular one, let's take that in the action zone here. What this is telling us is what to show or hide based on what we're doing. And so we're going to put hide. We'll take that there. The next one that we want to hide is bouncing back and forth. That'll take care of those two sections. We want to hide this section right here. And that one's called, copy. See, I already had some of these set. We're not completely guessing at which pieces to do. And that's right there. We're hiding that. Okay, and then we do not need them to resize the actual seat cushion that we're working with. So we're going to look for this particular section right. It's highlighted some of the time. There we go. That section is Action zone size div. We're going to give them the size, we're going to set it, and then we're just basically going to use that size. And there it is. Had a lot of these pieces in place, didn't I? Okay, that takes care of that one. And let's take one more look. Was there anything else we need to hide? Trigger for seat. Okay, that all says the right note. This stuff all is good, and that should do it. Let's go back to here. And just to double check, that's already saying hide, so we duplicated that effort. That's the form title. Copy action, that part disabled true. We don't have to disable it because we're not even showing it. That part we're showing, and that part action zone part div. We're showing that. Let me make sure that one comes up. Okay, maybe the default. It may always show. That's why I didn't have it on the list before for the other item. Okay, let's see what happens now. We should get the proper masking of what parts of the form to show. Okay, and edit 3D thing, the action zone. Here we go, new seat. And now we have the seat. Notice the action zone, the piece that we're actually highlighting is right there. If I, for example, move it up, it moves up. And I can move it back down. This is the piece that we're just, I know it's not that easy to see it, but it is right there. It's transparency to a 0.2 factor, so it is there, but because it's small, if it was bigger, it'd be a lot easier to see. Okay, and you can rotate it if we need to, that's all fine. We only want to load it when we're near, and we have these two different parts. Notice they change color when I highlight these. We're going to fix that part next. Okay, that means when I highlight over this, on mouse over, it is doing highlight action zone part. That's the function we're going to go look for. Copy that. And we're going to change the way it does that. And first of all, highlight action zone part, put an equal sign, lets us find it easier in the code, find in files, here we go, and there it is, highlight and unhighlight action zone part. In this section, what we're going to do is we are currently telling it to set the mold and just kind of set it to a certain color by changing the background color. We're no longer using these because also the reset mold coverings, that's the reason it's not going back, is because I've disabled those pieces. So what I want to do is I'm going to change this function to actually be a different function. We have one that allows us to, so let me see here. It is called, I think I even used it yesterday, highlight mold. Highlight mold is there. That's not the one. I was already looking at these sections yesterday. Check hovers, actions on top. Okay, we'll find it. I know how to find it. In our construct, I have the value for the layer. It's a highlight layer. I'm going to find it here. Colors. Highlight layer. Okay. Find that. And see, this is an admin only. Okay, so going here. Okay, this is what I want. Highlight mold fast. All I need is for it to glint and then go away afterwards. It means that we don't even have to unhighlight anything anymore. All I have to do is highlight the mold name and the color. That will work. And we'll tell it to flash in, well, we'll tell it to be red or something. That works. We can also make it yellow. I did it on the other one. We're going to make this also have a yellow option. Okay. Highlight mold fast and highlight mold fast, and in here it's just gonna be the mold name. Mold name passes to there, and we're gonna try yellow just to see if that works. Also, I don't think we need this whole piece anymore for highlight, action zone, and unhighlight. We may just go directly to that function, but we're gonna check it first and see if it even works. And then we'll tell it what to do, where when you highlight over, all we need is it to glance at it real quickly. We don't have to stay highlighted on the item. So we go to here, change it to our new seat, which we added. And if I move the mouse over, there it is. And this one's right there. Okay, so that works just fine by doing it that way. I could leave it highlighted until you move away, which is also fine. We have that particular one right. There's highlight mold fast, and then there's highlight mold and unhighlight mold. So if I use highlight mold, and we're going to go in and actually change it at the level of where it is creating this thing. So instead of highlight action zone part, find that, find a name, find all. Okay, there's a number of places where we're highlighting the action zone part and then we unhighlight the part afterwards. We're going to fix all these real quick because that, it's an improvement. Okay, so we have highlight mold, doesn't have to have the word fast, and then it's going to be the mold name, and then we tell it what color. So everywhere it does, and then unhighlight mold is going to be same thing, just the mold name. Just to confirm, highlight mold is with the color, unhighlight mold is just the mold name, and it'll take care of both of those. Okay, so starting right here, we're going to start changing, is that unhighlight with a lowercase? Let me make sure I get my bearings straight. Unhighlight mold like that. Unhighlight mold, and then I just need the mold name, which is this right here. That's why these aren't going to be too bad. And then instead of this, we're going to highlight the mold, and we have to tell it what color. In this case, we'll go to yellow. Oops. Yellow, type yellow. Okay, that takes care of those two, which is right there. Here we are going to, this particular one flashes on it, and then this set timeout gets rid of it afterwards. What I can do is I can say highlight mold fast, which is my function that does that exact same thing, and I can tell it what color, and now I can get rid of this set timeout piece. Cool, huh? We have highlight mold there. That's the one we just fixed. Okay, so highlight mold fast. Wait a minute, why do I need to highlight mold fast and then highlight mold on? Oh, when you first select it. Okay, that's fine. It does it fast, but then it sets it up that if you highlight it, move it again, it'll automatically do it. Okay, that's good. This particular one we already have. Got both of those. And now to this line. Okay. Unhighlight mold. Then we're going to put the mold name in here. There's more than one way to write this too. Then we have highlight mold. And it's going to be that mold name with the color. Okay, notice I noticed that this has building molds, community molds, which means that there needs to also be, this could be something else. Oh, it has thing molds also. Okay, we're gonna fix all three of these while we're here. We could have, it would have been easier. Well, we got to go through and decide which ones have pieces that are in use. Okay, never mind. I'm going to leave that the way it is for now because it really... Okay, let's remove action zone part. And we're going to unhighlight mold. And then we need the mold name, which is here. We're fixing a number of things at once. And this particular one, we're going to go... We're phasing out one of the functions that we no longer need. Highlight mold. Because it is the mold that we're highlighting. We're not actually, it's action zone part, but those are molds. So it kind of is a full circle. We have to do it this way to get it to use the mold highlighting, which is fine. Because the other part was, when I originally wrote that, I was changing up the different opacities as a way to highlight things, but it became kind of tricky because I always had to put it back to whatever opacity it was when it started. So if I highlight something that had set a particular opacity in the user interface, then I had to always bounce it back to that same setting. So now with this, make sure my cursor is where I'm at. Here we go. Okay, unhighlight mold needs to have the mold name. And we just pass that value right there. And that should take care of highlighting molds and unhighlighting molds all the way through that line. Okay, that gets me to 50-51. Woo, almost went crazy there. 51-50? No. Okay. Here, okay, so what it was doing before, I remarked these out just yesterday, so I am actually going to put them back into place, but this one's going to be highlight mold fast. Highlight mold fast takes the mold name, does it really quick, and then automatically has the timer already set to turn it back off. So, and we're going to do that one in yellow. That takes care of those two lines. We're working our way across this. We'll be done here shortly. Get back to other coding. And we're going to get to the animation part here shortly. Bear with me. Unhighlight mold, which will be that one. And this will be highlight mold. Okay. Okay, highlight mode there. That takes care of that line. 5131, yeah, 5031, sorry. And same thing here. When we first come here, we'll do the highlight mold fast. It's an easy way. And we're going to do that with yellow again. That takes care of those. We're almost there. Unhighlight mold. And that's a lowercase h. And now we grab this piece and yellow. Good Coldplay song, Yellow. Highlight mold. That gets us through that one. Now we need this one. Each one has a different way that it spells out mold names, so we're just getting the pieces that we need and copying that from right next to it. We already know it works. And lowercase h. And now what color to highlight? And changing the name of the function. Okay, that's that one. Copy that to there. We're just plowing our way through this. This will make it run the proper way. Okay, and okay, and one more above that. Of course there is, which is right here. Jump back to the beginning of the line on me. The thing mold, we need to know the name. Pass it to this function. Change the name of the function. And get rid of the H. Now here, set the color. This function, by the way, made it a lot easier to work with because now that I'm not manipulating those, it was a pain when I was trying to manipulate all the different pieces with the opacity and then set them back. I always had to look up the original values. This part, now that I don't have to look up the original values, happens much faster in the code. Okay, we're getting there. That particular function, we're going to get rid of that function in a minute. And that's the next one up. We're going to get rid of that because we won't need any of those in a minute. Go here. Doing the same thing again. Okay, I've noticed a pattern that I do this same step like many times. Later on we'll find this step and move it into one function so that we can just repeat it anytime we need to. But obviously I'm setting some redundancy here. We'll work on that at a later time. Okay, try to fix them as I find them. But first, let's make this other piece work. It was the challenge of the day, the piece that we wanted to work on today. We're getting into the animations we're going to get, once we can click on this, it's going to fire off the animation, then we'll start playing around more with the animation side of things. So it is in the plans, it is on the table today. Just takes a little bit to prep the work to fire off the actual function and run it. So, okay. There we go, highlight mold, and then one more time, thing molds. Copy that. And here we have unhighlight mold. There we go. And that's 4577. That gets me to this line right there. This will be the next one. And isn't that darn, I mean, this is just like redundancy. What am I doing that makes it, oh, because they're different mold parts. Okay, they do have a different reasoning, different code, different functionality. There's subtle differences, but they are different. We'll still, now I can still make it a function. I'm going to go ahead and do that at some point here. Because I can tell it what value to pass, that gives us the different pieces, and then just pass it in and tell it based on if it's a community building or thing. Yeah, we can do some things with that. Try to make these things functions. I think when you're writing it, sometimes you just, I need this right here, and you do it, and then later on you start noticing the patterns and you start going, okay, if that worked there, then this time, I do it 2 or 3 times, then okay, now it's time to write a function and make it a call out instead of inline. But some of the stuff is here, and it'll get there over time. Okay. It is transforming before your eyes. That's why we went open source. Allow everything to be found. And here's another little flaw in what I did, and that's another reason I'm checking these things. This particular one goes through all the molds. Okay, this is a different form of the molds. Okay, so that already covers if it's a building or thing, community building or thing. 4552, which is there and there. And next, we have one more, and I think we're there. So let's get the H out of here. Literally. Okay. Copy that. I think what it is I'm basically passing in a different value here, but then once I pass the value, everything else comes up the same. So I can see how there's a pattern to the way I do this and what I'm creating for the different pieces, but I'd still have to call something. Yeah, because it is the on mold, it is the format there. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm checking different lists to be able to create that. Yeah, we'll see how transparent it is to be able to update that in a different time. Okay, so we have both of those in place. Now the challenge is to see, did we get rid of all of them? And I can confirm that right here. Let's start with the unhighlight. Find that in the files, in the whole site. Did we use it? No, other than the start and end of this function. Unhighlight action zone part. I want to make sure I take a note of that. Okay. And I'm going to, what I've been doing is I take a copy, every time I do an update, I'm kind of keeping track of my details of what was in each update by doing it here in the table. This gets released with the part. Okay, so if I say was replaced, and here I can say JavaScript function for highlight action zones, highlight and unhighlight. Action zones was replaced by highlight molds and unhighlight molds. Mold. It's not molds. Highlight mold and unhighlight mold. Okay, now that I know that, copy that, go there, and apply. Boom, we have a new record. Okay, so that tracks my updates so that I know things that I've done on a more global scale later. I mean, not global, but details of things that changed. That way you get them in the releases. That's all the list that creates the release notes. Okay, Let's see. Now we have those two parts gone. Let's test it in our code and see how well everything works. We'll go back to console so that we can double check and see if anything works. Oh, expected string on 4967. What'd I do? 4967. Highlight move fast, yellow there. Oh, comma. That would do it. Hit a period instead of a comma. That's why I went back to the console. We got to see the errors, fix things as we go. Okay, so we have the chair. It has these different parts. Now when I edit the various part, edit action zones, and we tell it to edit the seat, first of all, the pieces are staying in place. Notice I can still highlight things that way, but when I highlight them over here, it gives me them in with a yellow outline, and we know which piece we're talking about. That helps align things. Okay, now the next part is, because it is part of a chair, I need to set up something that lets you know to, first of all, tell it to click to sit, and then the other piece is to set off an action that happens when we click it. Then we're going to be moving to our animations and seeing if we can get everything going for that part. Okay, let's get a couple of these little things out of place here. Common, let's see, well, there's transformation ones. What did I do those? Find 1-POS position Y. And I'm just finding this just so that I can get back to the code here, and we no longer need to modify those positions because we came up with the right ones. The other little note we were doing was this action zone ID of where we're editing that. So let me get copy that. We're gonna go find that with tw.log in front of that, and that should get us right to that line. WalkTheWeb log. No, we didn't find it. Oh, let me guess, I did a single quote instead of a double quote. Find all. Nope. Find all. Come on, I always use double quotes. Find all. There it is. For whatever reason, it didn't like the equal sign. I don't know. But we can get rid of that piece now because we've already tracked down and fixed that error. So now, when we're rendering, we want it to know that if it has a piece that we're going to check hovers. When we check the hover, we're going to know that that was part of a seat, and we're going to tell it what to put on the page based on that. This is going to be kind of a universal thing for anything that is a driver's seat, passenger seat, or chair seat. So we're gonna do it more of a global scale. But what I have is there's a function called check hovers, and it's actually in here. Find. When I check the hovers, I'm checking it for a particular mold, and what I want to know is, first of all, is the mold part of a seat assembly? Because we can also do click to get if it's a part of a door that's a clickable door, click to open, click to close. We could do things like that too. So it's kind of going to be a universal piece that I'm going to probably use more than once here. We have the mold parts based on the molds. Let me think here how we're going to do this. If mold parent name, let's get the mold parent name. Is that part of mold parts already? Let me find out. Find in files. Find all. Okay, 2556, okay, 2556 is the line we're on. If I go to here, I can go back to it. Parent name is not listed as part of the telltales. Do I need it? I have the connecting grid, which is part of that. You know what? I'm going to check it at this level because then we always have parent name if you want to know what the parent name is. I can see just enough reasons that we may want that added. So var parent name, because we have parents on everything that we deal with. And this is going to be something that mostly is getting called from, well, most of it's admin, but it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything to throw this property in here. Well, we have mold name, and then we have if that. Do we actually check the mold? No, I'm not returning the mold either. That's fine. So we can make it right here. And it'll be var mold equals scene dot get mesh by ID, and then it'll be mold name. Reason I'm doing this is because then I can say if mold is not null, var parent mold equals, did I do parent mold or did I do parent name? Good. Okay. Parent mold equals mold dot parent, and then if parent mold is not null, then we once have parent name equals parent mold dot name. And now we can return parent name as part of this stuff here. And now we can get the parent name basically as easy as mold parts dot parent name. Let's see, from if mold parts dot parent name, because it'll be blank otherwise, so index of seat, then we're going to tell it what to do here. Let's start with telling us what the parent name is. Let's see if we're getting what I think we're getting at this point, because the parent name should be the action zone, which will be called seat as part of its naming convention. So let's double check that. Log parent name equals, and we're going to make sure that at this point in time we have the parent name like we thought we did. And this is on the check molds. So every time we highlight over something, check hovers, we should get some type of item there. Oh, uncut token. Let me see, where did I miss it? 2563, which is right here. Oh, I didn't put an extra parenthesis. That closes out that. And now, and we have a tooltip functionality that we already have. Okay, parent name, action zone base, blah, 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 hyphen seat. Okay, the name is seat. So now all I have to do is, there's certain ones here. All I have to do is set, I I think it's set tool. Tooltip. Okay, find. I'm just going to get the right function here. I can do it in my search. It's tooltip. We do not need that. Show and hide tooltip. No, that's not it. Check tooltip, show tooltip with whatever I want it to say. And that's all I have to do here is show tooltip and put in the words select to sit. Let's see if that does it. And any other time else, it should hide the tooltip, but I don't think I have to tell it because I think it automatically hides the tooltip when you move off of an object. I already have that as part of the alt tag functionality because you can tell any part that you want to have an alt tag, and when you move your mouse over it, select to sit. Yay! Now when we click it, that's when we want it to actually do something. So now that I have those pieces in place, what I could do is when you click on something, there's a tool that's telling it which piece was selected, and I already have a function that runs from there. So this part is complete. Select to sit. We have that in place. Now, I could make it also. We'll probably go back into that area and say if it's not already being set in, if somebody already is sitting there, then we'll have some type of state so that you can't sit in the same place that they're already sitting. That would be good. But we'll get there. We'll get there. That's just going to be little additions as we go. Okay, so next we are going to click. When we click on an object, then we're running this process that allows us to decide what to do with it. I know, it's called a click event. Yes, got it. Input, when I click, it's on a mouse click. There's a function I have it set to do. On mouse move, on mouse up, mouse down, or mouse click. Let's see, mouse right click. And here's mouse click. On mouse click, we do, okay, this is checking scene pick. This gives us the object. Then we are running, once we have the item, if we're in setup mode, it tells us what to do there. Setup mode is 0. Check mold event, on click. That's the one I think I want. It's going to give me on click with the picked name. So check mold event. Is that the proper place? Yes. This is looking for animations, but I think we can use it for both, because if you have an animation and needs to run it, then great, it fires off the animation. We won't interfere with that. But we can add something to the same function that will tell it to check other things. So that is geared around, see, this is geared around the mold events and everything that's there. It's looking through a list of mold events and seeing if there's anything that needs to run. I'm going to go after that because that'll fire off an animation based on if you've scheduled one for a click event in, I can show you where, just so you know where, since I'm talking about it. In the media library, when you create certain objects, one of the things you can do is you can set an item to have animations based on a particular JavaScript event. If this said on click, then you would be dealing with exactly where I am in the code, which is this function. It looks to see you had these mold events, you had them all in place from different things, and it tells it to fire off the animation that you selected. So now that'll go through that. It'll look and it'll fire off any animations that you have. But then after that, I want to check based on the mold name, which we are passing. Okay, based on the mold name, we're going to do something like what we just did over here, which is, okay, it would be get mold name parts. I'm going to do that so that we don't have to type this again. Our mold name parts equals that, and it's going to be just mold name, because that's what we're passing in here. Yep. And we already know that the click event itself is mold event. So if mold event equals, it should be on click, and let's just make sure that we're getting to this point before we go writing too much code. WalkTheWeb.log. I'm going to put the word clicked in here. That means we know it's been clicked, and we're going to check that. Okay, on here, if I click that, yes, we got to that point. Okay, so we have tied up to that particular spot. Now we're going to tell it what to do based on if this particular thing, if the parent is a seat. If mold name parts dot parent name, see, that's why I did it on that function instead of doing it here, index of seat is greater than -1, then we're going to run a function. Now, let's see, where should this function exist? I'm trying to think of the proper place. I think, therefore I am. No, okay. I think the best place for this is actually going to be in avatars, load avatar, because this particular function is a function of an avatar movement. We're going to tell him to go into a, or him or her, we're going to tell the avatar to go into a sequence of sitting, which means move to a certain place, turn, and then go into the sitting animation. At the same time, it needs to load particular animations if they're not already loaded. So we will then okay, starting here, we're going to create a function and get the framework in place for the function with our checking in place. And we have our avatar name is what we're going to pass to it, or do we? No, it's going to be always our avatar. We don't have to worry about that. It's going to be, we're moving our avatar. We don't have to worry about somebody else doing their particular avatar. We can actually catch that. Yes, we can catch that. We'll teach it how to do multiplayer afterwards and watch the other person sit. I know there's a lot of pieces that come together to make this all work. Okay, so start sit. I'm going to say start sit, and the reason I did that is because there's going to be more than one piece for this. So start sit means walk over to where it's going to sit. And what I may need to pass is the actual mold name so that it knows where to sit. So I'm going to pass that in here, WalkTheWeb there, and that's going to be the function we run. Okay, so start sit with the mold name, which is telling it position-wise. So first thing I want to do is we're going to, I'm not worried so much about walking over to the position where we're going to sit yet. I need to do some other legwork, and we're going to tell it to load an animation, and we're going to tell it some things about that animation. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is, should we have already prepped before we got into this area? When we loaded this, we should check our own avatar to see if it has the ability to sit loaded. Because if it doesn't, we can trigger it at that point. So by the time it already walks into that area, it already has the sitting and standing and sitting different sit idle, sit and sit to stand, and stand to sit motions in place. So let's prep and load those different animations. The first thing we're going to do, it's actually going to be a lot like what we did up here, which is creating change avatar animation. This particular one, it grabbed an animation. Okay. Check see if it's running, which it's not. We're going to do some tests here, and then we're going to tell it to load the animation based on if it's not loaded yet. So we're going to have, just thinking of, I want to get it to a point so we can play around with this quickly, but I'm going to call this load sit. And for now, we're going to prep call it earlier on so that we know that we'll say avatar name, because we can always get the avatar name and tell it to load sit on that particular avatar. We need to start by loading just one animation. Yeah, we need more information. We're going to get that. Let's do these different pieces. Okay, so what happens is this. Under avatar animations, we add a new one. We have to look to see if it's already found, and then we basically see if it's running or not, and then we can also tell other things about it. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check it and see if it is already running. We do not need some of those values. Yes, we do. Okay, this is going to be used from here to there to load the animation. But we're going to have to teach it what animations to load. You know, is this going to be a repetitive piece? I'm trying to decide. Yeah, see, we're pulling those values in here. I know. That's when we change the animation, it does this particular piece. When we... But see, changing animation also updates it in the database, which is this. You know, I need to separate that into two functions so that we can easily pass back and forth the different information that we need for each one of their functions. That way, we can change one on the fly. I know, here I'm building a bunch of JavaScript functions. You thought we were going to jump in there and do some animation. It comes in time. It comes in time. Okay, so we're going to call this, we're going to make a copy of this one first, and we're going to start with a copy of it, find, I want to see if it already has load avatar animation. I think there's a really high chance that that's already in use. Yeah, animations. And definition. Okay, I used load avatar animations, which loads multiple, and I used load avatar animation, which is singular. So I think I'm good for setting one up that all it's going to do is load animation by itself. We're going to pass in the values and tell it what to do. Oh, sorry. I got busy. Okay, so we're going to take this. I'm going to be passing in a bunch of values. Copy that. And it's going to go all the way to there. It's not going to do this process, which was saving the data in the database. That's not needed in this particular function. And select object blur, I don't need that. That has to do with another piece. Load avatar animation is going to take the place of this whole piece here from there all the way down. WalkTheWeb this, and we're going to, you know what, I'm going to leave this closer for the moment, just so I don't have to keep scrolling back and forth on every single piece. I'm going to just remark it out, but put it right there. And now I'm going to be passing in the values that we need. ID, value, and user avatar animation ID. Okay. So from here, we have, I'm going to kind of be careful what order I put this in. We're going to do user avatar animation ID, which will go here. Then we have, and that will get rid of that. Animation friendly name. Do I even need that? Yes, I do put that in there. Okay. Let's keep everything. Copy that. So we have the animation friendly name. Then we're going to put in animation icon. I know that has more to do with this options than it does the other part, but we need to keep that in place in case it's being added to the other part on the fly. So we'll keep the animation icon path in place intact here. Then we're going to do load priority. Do we use the load priority? Yeah, we do. Okay. Load priority is not going to matter when we're doing it on the fly, but in this particular case, we are going to pass all these values. Some of these we may move to the end and set default values because a lot of them aren't going to matter when you're loading things on the fly. Avatar animation ID, if we have one, which it can be any random number if it's not being sent here. That's kind of why I left it that way. Animation ID, animation name, which is not the animation friendly name necessarily. Animation name would be like on walk, on talk, well, on whatever. So we have that. So animation name, speed ratio. Let's do the start frame first. I'm trying to, well, actually object folder. Folder, and this is giving us a lot of information to pass, but this is going to make it a lot easier to load animations on the fly to any avatar on the scene, which is also the reason I'm doing it this way, is because it's also going to help us with the with loading the animations to other avatars in our scene, not just our own. Okay, so we have start frame. And then we have end frame. copy that. Okay, and we have speed ratio. Go speed ratio. No. Correct myself up. Okay, so speed ratio is the last one. You know what? I'm going to move this around because we really don't need a load priority. So I'm going to make load priority last, and then we'll set a default value based on if they use it or not. Okay, that'll make it where you can trim that one off. Get that out of there. And the other piece that we're going to pass here is, because load, okay, if, we'll set that right now, if load priority equals undefined, then load priority equals 0. That just takes care of that once and for all. The other part is we're going to be passing the user name, I mean the avatar name, and then we're going to use that here. So that's going to get passed as avatar name. Then we'll know which avatar gets this new piece, and that has to be included. We'll put it first because everything else are properties that are being added to that avatar name. Okay, so we have all those pieces. Let's take this function and move it. We're going to move it to here. Here. Because we're going to want that avatar naming scheme thing there. Avatar name is the only one we didn't define. Avatar name equals, and if it is my avatar I'm working with, which in this case it would have been, then it would have been my avatar ID. Actually, the name, I already have it here. I don't need to. It is my avatar, and then the instance is what avatar name is going to be. And I can pass that right there. That takes care of that piece. User animation is there. Okay, so that reads in selected object and sets the user animation ID. We will not need from here. Well, let's see. That will cover. I don't think we're going to need from there to. Well, it's going to be if avatar is found. If there's avatar animations, we're going to catch those two things after the fact, so we do not need them right here. So let's take that out. We're not doing any of this in here because that's all loading the avatar and going to that level. Okay, actually we're getting rid of every bit of that. It's all being run in a function now instead. So in there it's going to run all those pieces. This sets all the various parts of where they're going, sets it into there, and load avatar should happen from there. So now load avatar. The one is avatar name. We have to make sure that's in all the right places. So get mesh by ID is avatar name there. And also we saw another one down here, which is load avatar animations based on this avatar name. Okay, total end frame. I have all these pieces still in place. See, I'm reading certain values from the actual animation when we read it in, then we'll know what they are. I may attempt to read some other things instead of passing them here, but they have to be done before we get to this level. So that means, for example, when it loads in the animation, does it fetch it here? No, I'm not fetching it. That doesn't happen until we load it here. Okay. Yeah, this is why I created prep. I did some prep work on the other ones, and I was able to. My avatar ID. Am I even using that? I do not use it for this function. Okay. Didn't think so. Get rid of that. That's not needed here. Animation data. That particular one is getting select object. Oh, that isn't being passed. Animation data is not being used. So those items I don't need to set in here. They're already set. We're passing them in from here. So let's get rid of anything related to that. Just cleaning out some of these pieces. Okay. Avatar animation data and animate. If that, then all of these items disappear. We don't need that one. And we already know user animation ID by the time we get this far. Okay, so that's going to take it all the way to there, and we have one too many brackets. Okay, that should allow us to run load avatar animation on the fly. To test that, let's do this real quick, because I know which function is going to use that. Oh, unexpected token. Okay. 2511. I missed a bracket someplace. 2511, which is right. 2511. It's hitting this catch, and oh, I didn't do the try. There we go. And I copied and pasted that, so we basically did that twice. There we go. Those are going to be two new functions that we're creating. Okay. Working through this. And now we should be able to read. I just want to make sure that we didn't break. Okay, it's loading. Okay, loaded up the avatar. Let's first see if everything loads. Okay, we can go backwards, we can go forward. Notice it's the happy walk. Okay, if I come in here, oops, and here, and edit my avatar, change the animations. This is the section I was just tweaking. If I change the walk, let's go to the beast walk. And no errors in the code. And yeah, we have beast walk. It worked. Okay, so I'm able to do those different things. Coming off the candy high from Halloween. I feel ya. I feel ya. Sugar is good. It's the caffeine we drink. It's the, no. it's the thing that keeps us awake while we're doing all this other stuff. I like the happy walk only because after I finish things, I like going, yep, it worked. So we're going to put it back. And the good news is there were no errors, which means that function still works. So now what I need to do is we have different animations, and there's a list of all the animations that it loads. Halloween candy on sale. Perfect. Makes good Christmas gifts. No. Only 2 months away. No. Or it still works for New Year's. Whatever applies. Okay, so here we have this function, load avatar animation. It will grab from all of our possible animations. It looks to see if it's already being used. It'll stop it if it is, and then it loads the new animation in its place. We may need to add a flag saying basically just check see if it's available, or add the animation stop and replace or whatever. We may have to add some functionality with that piece, but I'm not going to worry about that just yet. First thing I want to do is we have this list of possible animations. Here's the deal. This is the challenge. Currently, I do not have a dynamic way of taking an animation that you've written and putting it in here because I kind of need to know some basic things. For example, the frames that it uses, the frame range that it's going to apply to. I can get those things on the fly, but I have to grab the animation to get those information and then to apply them into the thing. Yeah, so there's some prep work. I don't want to load the animation twice per se, but if you haven't given me that information, then it does possess a different area here. I know I seem like I'm backpedaling because it's like every time I get one step closer, I go, ooh, we don't have this prep work in place, since we start working on all these little side pieces that help this whole thing function. Here's the deal. When we get all these little side pieces in place, then you're going to be able to create your own avatar, tell it what walk you want for an animation just by uploading it. You're going to be able to do set all your different functions for each one of your pieces, because each one of these little ground level things that I'm doing right now actually do add to what you have available. When you initially load the program, I set up a number of animations that are possible for you to run, and they all exist in this table called avatar animations. So here I've already predefined and added each one of these potential animations that you could run in your scene. All it is a listing. They're not loaded. So it's a quick, easy, dirty list that just basically says, here's the choices. Then when you actually load them and use them, we only load the ones that you need at that particular time. Okay. But of course, if you're going to load an animation that isn't in the system already, we need to do a little investigating, figure out which values are part of the number of frames that are the frames that you're running for the sequence that you're going to do. There's a little bit of adjustment, but I can do something. See, I can write something that'll do those pieces for you, and that part isn't the issue because I can actually create that. But I don't want to do it right now, just as what the bottom line is. So what I'm going to do for now is I want to get a little closer to this faster. And to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hard code in what animations I want it to load and how, and then I'm going to have them already ready. We're going to use them and everything else, and then later I'm going to create a process that lets you pick them on the fly, choose which one you want, and then load them as we go. So it's kind of like I'm going to jumpstart, I'm going to cut in the middle so that we can continue on the process that we're already doing. Okay, with that said, my cup runneth dry again. So I'm going to take about a 5-minute break, get some water going, and I will be right back, and then we're going to continue on this process. So bear with me. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. And okay, so now let's start doing this particular part, which is wait a minute. Oh, I set that particular thing right there. Okay, and that's all fine. This checks all those values and then inserts it here for load avatar animation. And we're going to be doing this function in its own way. And we're going to see if we can't tell it to load it here. To do this, let's start. We're going to be loading 3 animations. We're going to load stand to sit. We're going to load sitting idle. And then we're going to load sit back to stand animations. So what I want to do is avatar name. We're passing it into this particular place, so we already know it's our avatar. User avatar animation ID. This is kind of trivial at this point because that is not going to be that's not going to be, well, you know what? We haven't assigned it to the user and we have not loaded it permanently. So that is not going to have a particular user avatar animation ID as you would think where it's assigned to the user, like it came out of the database. But that's fine because we're also not going to edit that and put it back on the user or remove it or anything like that at this time. So what I want to do is we're going to for our user avatar ID, and I want to hard code 16-digit 16-digit code. I'm just going to use all A's for now. I'll make it some friendly or different thing later on. And there's a second one that needs code, and I'm going to make that all B's. We'll change these numbers to be something more dramatically random later on. But for now, I'm going to call it this just so that it has those 2 values. We'll deal with that later on. Animation name. Okay, so there's some values here. Okay, so we have our avatar name coming in. We have this one now. Animation friendly name. We're just going to call it stand to sit. Animation icon. I'm not worried about the icon. We're not making it something you normally do. Avatar animation ID, we already have that one right there. Animation name, this is where we're actually calling it by name and it's going to be the runtime name. So this is on stand to sit. Okay. Okay, and object folder. Okay, I need to move some files to the server and finish working on some files here. We'll have the object folder. Okay, we'll have the rest of this stuff here in just a minute. Load priority, we're just going to make that 0 because it's not going to matter. Speed ratio, it's going to be running 1:1. End frame, start frame, see these 4 values right here are going to come from the actual item as we put that there. So let's do just that. First thing is file, open recent. I did a stand to sit. What this one does is when you run the animation, I'm gonna show you how we do the other one. So basically he's standing, he looks behind him, and then he sits down, boom, like that. I keep saying he, it's the avatar, he, she, whatever. It's just that particular pose, that particular move. Okay. So we'll do that. This particular one is not going to loop. It's going to be a run one time. We may have to do something with that. I'll check. We'll get that in place. But that's the motion that we're going to do. So what I need to see first of all is we have 55 frames. So it's frame 1 through 55. Start frame is 1. End frame is 55. Object file is stand to sit dot Babylon, and that's quote, or there we go. And the file folder where it exists, this particular one is going to be content slash. Okay, let's go through our path. Let's look it up, because I know I'm going to mess that up if I tried to say it. Updates. What do I have? Core. Those were already updated. Okay, just making sure those are the ones I already did. Uploads, and we have content. Then we have system, avatars, and system animations. Yeah, system animations movement. And then I'm going to dump them in that folder with the others. System animations movement. And did I just close that? No. Make sure I did. Animations movement. Okay. There's no plural singular. I have to make sure I get that right. Okay, for this, then I need to make sure that I upload the files. I did them on my local machine, so I'm just going to use FTP real quick and get them on the server. TFS, this, doop, doop, boom, boom. Just getting to my path here. Sorry, I'm doing this off screen. It's just a matter of getting it in line where it needs to go here. Connect, uploads, content, system, animations, movement, and I want to load Babylon in the manifest file for sit to stand. Upload those. Okay, so they are now in place, and we have stand to sit, and Babylon 1 to 55. That's the pieces for that one. And next, copy that. We're going to load 3 different pieces here. The last one is going to be sit to stand. This one's going to be sit idle. Or sit wait. I think I called it sit wait, or stand wait, on wait. So on sit wait, just so I know what functions we're going to do. On sit to stand. Okay. Stand to sit, sit wait, sit to stand. Okay, those are going to be the 3 pieces that we're going to do, and I don't know the rest of this yet because I haven't loaded I haven't created them yet, so let's do that next. And just so you've seen how this all works, let's go with the new 2.8 version of Blender. I kind of was getting up to pace this morning, so bear with me as I chomp through this. Okay, first thing is file, new, and we're going to do a general file. I'm not going to worry about that just yet, but what we do is we say file, import, FBX file. It is in the sit folder that I have. I actually created a sit folder. And it's going to be Let's go with sitting male at this time since we're using the male avatar. No other reason. And the first thing we have to do is we have to apply all transformations, otherwise our animations will be off on size and they won't work properly. But we won't be able to export it to Babylon if the transformations are not in place. So the first thing I always do is move the transformations and we say apply those transformations, which is object, apply, rotation and scale, object, apply, location, and that sets these all to 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, and 1, 1, 1 for all the movements. The other thing I like to do is if we come over here to the very last frame, let's get the frame count. It is, make sure I'm not missing one here, 155 frames. So we set the end frame, and that's so that it can actually loop if you wanted it to. So we're going to do that, and next we're going to the next part is I have to zoom back into this little square down here, and we need to do a couple things with it. The first thing is I like to set this to basically be transparent and black so that if it does show up in the scene, it's not noticeable and you don't even see it. But first of all, setting it to black makes it a little easier to hide in the scene. The other part is there's an opacity alpha setting here. We're going to set that to 0, which means it's now transparent. We can see that if we switch to this mode right there. It is now black and transparent. And that should hide it. But there's also this other little setting down here. Blend mode, we can go hashed. And show mode, shadows, none. We're just making sure it's as transparent as it gets. Backface culling isn't necessary. That's when it shows the opposite wall of what you're looking through, so you can see through an object and see the back side of it. We don't need it. And transparency mode is blend, alpha blend. That's fine. Okay, that should get it where that disappeared completely in our scene. Now, by selecting that and then selecting the armature, I can move my cursor over the page, and if I do Control P, I can add with automatic weights. Sorry. Helps if I read it. Now, what that did is basically it set it up so that, we're looking at Z mode here. Let's look at rendered. Oh, that's fine. These are hidden when they're rendered. That's why that didn't matter. We can go back to one of these other views. It doesn't really matter. Solid. That's all fine. Okay, so this doesn't really matter, but here we go. When we do the animation, notice he's basically moving a little bit. It's just breathing, just something very routine, standard, just so that it has some movement while he's sitting still. Stop that animation. And now that we have those pieces in place, just so you know, when we took that cube and placed it as with automatic weights, what it allows us to do is when we load the animation, we swap out the cube for the actual avatar skin, which is the different mesh that creates the avatar. And that applies the automatic weights that are used in it to this bone structure, which this bone structure matches the bone structure that he already has. So that kind of is a hot swap, and that's why I was able to use one cube here instead of loading the whole avatar every time, which also helps because it keeps our file size real small in there. Yeah. Okay, so I created this animation. It is the sitting animation, and we're going to first save it. And this will be sit wait, because that's what it is. It's a sit and wait. And save the Blender file. Now I export it to Babylon, and we're going to dump it in that same folder. Export Babylon file, and save it one more time. And that one's done. So now we get the next one. Okay, so let's take this and go another step farther. We have file, new, general, and we're going to get our other one in here, which is import FBX, and go back to our sit directory. And this one is going to be sit to stand. So we're going to be moving him from a sitting position back to the standing position. So this is our return to gonna walk or something like that. And we're going to set this scale to 1 to 1 to 1, just so that, that's kind of funny looking. I never did them in that order, so it kind of looked funny when I did it. Okay, so we take that. We have to apply the transformations. Rotation and scale, object, apply, location. Now all these are zeros and all the scales are ones. And now I mess with this little box down here, switch to the textures, and first make it black. Black in black also gives it no weird reflections in its transparency. Then we have alpha numbers, we set that to 0, and we change this to alpha hashed here, or I'm sorry, none. SketchUp computer, there it goes, none, and turn off backface culling, and here we can just say alpha blend. Now it'll pick up those alpha colors and make it disappear on the screen. Okay, that takes care of that piece. I'm not visualizing it. If I switch to this, then it'll disappear on the screen, but that's all fine. We have the cube, we select the armature, and then you do Control P for with automatic weights. We're adding that mesh. Notice it moved up underneath the armature, and that's where the mesh is that we normally work with. Okay, so once I have those pieces in place, the next thing is let's trim up this animation sequence to the number of frames that we actually need it to be. In this case, we have 55 frames. So we're going to change this end value to 55. Then if it was to loop, it basically repeats itself, but we're good. We're going to run 55 frames. That's all we need in this sequence. We don't need to export more than we need. Okay, and then file save. There's our, okay, so it's going to be sit to stand. It's the name of my file. Save the Blender file, and then file, export Babylon, and it's going to be that same name that we just picked, sit to stand. It exports. I'll save it one more time. I'm jumping over to my FTP on the other screen, and we now have sit to stand and sit and wait. Moving those into the right folder. Now if we jump back to our code page, okay, and jumping back in the code page, we have this one will be sit wait, and this one will be sit to stand, and I don't remember what the number of frames were. Those two are the same, but this one had a different value. I think it was 165, but I'd rather be sure. It's a lot easier to just reload it and check than it is to make a mistake on that. And sit and wait has 155. There it is. So notice we go 155 right there. So if I take that and make it 155, now we have those three pieces there, and it would load those when we run this command. Now the final part here is I do not want it to run the same IDs every time. So just to do it, so that we have some way of controlling which ones are loaded, I'm going to do this. And it will be and this one. I just want it to have values so that when it runs them and uses them, then it knows which one it finds and how it works. Here's the deal. Those are going to go in there, load avatar animation, and when they run this particular piece, it adds it to the, I forgot. I did set it up to add it to the animations found so that it has its record in there. So that'll transfer that information there, create it, and load it using the load animations command using these values that it passes with the easing function and everything in place. Okay, first thing we want to do is test if we can get these pieces loaded. Now to do that, I need to put this strategically into a place. So we're going to use some strategery. No. Okay, I want to use this when my avatar loads. And it comes down here and enter animate. After it enters the animate, which is going to be my avatar, this one, then I want it to load this. I'm purposely putting it here. This is not where it's going to be later on. We're actually going to make this load on the fly if you get near someplace that you can sit. So it's not going to be here long term, but for now, this lets us load it up on load, and we'll know that those particular items are available for us to use. So from here, I just want to make sure that this activates. Okay, and I'm just going to say load sit so that we know that that happens. We have a lot of pieces here. Let's just test it and see that everything gets to that level. We need to make sure everything's in place. Okay, so load sit. It did load right with the rest of them. It's loading my avatar. He's all good. And now what I want to do is I'm going to track what happens when I click this, and I'm going to tell it right now just to run one of the animations. That's all I want to do yet. I'm going to tell it. So mold name. The avatar, this is always going to be my avatar, so I can actually, the avatar that I'm going to send in there is, oh, wrong one. If I look right here, the name of my avatar is this guy right here, so I'm just going to copy that so I don't mess that up. Okay, here, we're getting there. We're getting there. We're going to put together this chain of events that happen, and it's going to, we'll get it to work. I wonder if I can turn off loop. Yeah, I'm going to play around with it. We're going to try some things here. This is where we're going to experiment. Log, and this one's going to, I just want to know that I've started the sit position movement, and now from there, I'm going to need the avatar, which will be our avatar equals scene dot get mesh by ID and avatar name. And from here, if avatar is not null, then we're going to do something with it. And in this particular case, I already know what I want to do. I'm going to let me look in core, because this is where we activated a lot of existing animations that we want to run. So what I want to do is I'm going to take that command right there, and for now I just want to take this command, change it to on stand to sit, and wait equals 1. That's all I want to do. He's going to repeat it at this point. It's going to roll. It's going to keep changing and keep on doing it. But I just want to see that we've gotten that far, and that will prove that the animation is loaded. And then we'll start working on what we're going to do with it at that point. So get our guy. Our animations are loaded because it says loaded already. And when I click this, start sit, no, he didn't move. Okay, let's find out. Avatar name, get mesh by that. Avatar, avatar animations, running, stand to sit. Oh, I did not update. No, that should be working. Okay, let's find out. That's why I went this way. Copy that. This means we found the avatar. And the other part is on stand to sit. That's going to matter. That's right there. On sit to stand and on sit to wait. Okay, so that is correct. We do have the proper name. Wait equals 1. Oh, I may have to stop other animations. Now, actually, before I go doing that, because I think it's erasing that right after I do it once, it's automatically taking it back off. The only way that's going to run that is if I tell it to pause, or actually if I use the other system over here, which means if I pass okay, I'm going to, I know, here's the deal. What happens is I'm passing these different keystrokes in here, and when I come through this move events, because I'm running that over and over, I'm not getting it into the move events. Key pressed. Oh, didn't even remember about this part. What I need to do, the problem is going to be that, yeah, I can do this. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a case, and I'm going to call it 3001. And there's a reason for my numbering, but this will be stand to sit, and we'll make that on stand to sit. And then we're going to create one that we're going to create 3 of these here. It's just because I need to have a little manipulation into the working model. I'll work on some other ways of doing this later, but this one's going to be, it's necessary at this time because we're feeding in different information and we're also feeding in different ideas. Okay, so we're going to make this one sit to stand. Oops. And it's going to be sit to stand. Now what I can do is I can use 301, 302, and 303 to call the different ones. So what I do, and this is, I can show you where we use this just so you can kind of follow what I'm doing. In the input, when I tell it to run certain events, what I do is I have 2 functions in place. One of them, key pressed remove, takes them out, and key pressed key press remove is getting rid of it, which I'm going to just remember here and move over to my other page so I have reference to it quickly and easily here. Because what it's going to do is it's going to balance out my movement compared to other movements that it's already doing. So by doing this, it will keep it in phase with what it should be doing. We're going to get this is actually going to help with the timing overall. And finally, an input. The other one is key press remove, and then I believe it's just key press. There's a replace. I may want that one. I'm going to just, I'm getting a couple of my commands here, and I'm just getting them ready to be used so that I can tell it what to do, which one to use, and what to do afterwards for the next one. And then key pressed. Oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong page. That's the core. I meant to go to this page. Key pressed add. There's my other function. Okay, what I'm going to do. Here's my hesitation. I have to measure what they're doing, and I have to tell it how long to do it, and switch between 3001 after it finishes sitting. Then I have to do the sit idle, and then I do from the sitting position do different things, and then eventually I'll go back to the standing position afterwards when you go to walk or something of that nature. So it'll be a transition in and out of the sitting thing. So this has to kind of, yeah, it has to have a couple functions that can do it. Okay, so right now I'm going to tell it to just press that and run that one function, and then I'm going to tell it after, you know what, just for now, window dot set timeout, and basically I'm going to give it 3 seconds which is not going to be the right amount. It's not going to be anything of that nature. But I'm going to do it for 3 seconds, and then I'm going to tell it to remove this particular function just so that we see it activate, and then we can do it more than once if we wanted to. And that'll be 3001, which should take us back to the idle position afterwards. Okay, let's give this a shot. Now you can see why I'm the one doing this sitting pose motions and doing different stuff with it. Okay, let's see what we have here. We have the sit to stand. When I click this, look, he sat. Woo, 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 woo. Okay. We're on the right trail. Okay, so when I click that, boom, you can go to that position. Okay, this is good. This is good. We're getting there. We're getting there. Now, what I want to do is I need to determine a couple things. One is I need to move my avatar to a particular position, which I'll get to. I don't need to do that part just yet. I want to get him to sit and stay in the sitting position. Just to do it this other way. Let's change the follow camera to the self camera. That way we're seeing them from that angle. Why not? Oops, I forgot. If I walk. And I don't know if that was a good thing or bad thing. We're going to find out here eventually. I'm running this backwards. Okay, so then when I click this, notice he sits down, looks behind him, and sits. Ooh, I notice his feet go a little on the floor. How funny. Yeah, that's fine. I can work with that. That's fine. Okay, but I only want it to run once. So what I'm going to do is see if there's a way to make something not loop after it's been loaded as a loop, or I have to teach it to load without looping, which is fine, but it only happens once, and then I think it unloads when you play it once. Which means, I may have to change the approach here so that it loads it, does it once, and then it loads like the sit to stand, or loads, well, we can have that one load all the time, but this one, yeah, we'll have to see what it does. If it just loads it and plays it once, then we may not have it loaded still to turn it back on or off. Let's see, Babylon. The weighted animations and loop. This is something that's kind of, well, it's one way or the other, I think, and if you don't loop it, then I think it automatically unloads it after playing once because you've already done it. This is a different push keys. It's different ways of running things. The animation is loaded to the character. Maybe there's a way to execute it differently instead of running the animation as a weighted piece. That actually makes more sense. I can't do a weighted and not weight from the other thing. Oh, I could put in an item. Oh, that's the way to do it. I just thought of something. If I want to execute an animation on my own, then instead of running the way I just did it, where I tell it and I have to put in every single animation, I can tell it to pause, run my animation, then tell it to turn pause back off. Then you would be able to execute any animation you want at any point in time, and return back to it when you tell it to not pause afterwards. That would probably be a better possibility. Because see, on animation end, we can even fire off this other animation on the animation end. Okay, so let's try this. Animation loop mode. Let's see what values we have for that. Because I don't think it's just a Boolean value. If true, the animation loop. Oh, okay, just depending on animation loop mode. That's all fine. We can say loop equals false. Let me see if we can get it to execute once without this, because then I think we can do this. Let me try, instead of before key pressed, we're going to set this right here, this loop equals false. Then we're going to run this and see if it stops after executing one time. That's cool. If this works, then I'm on the right trail. If not, it's going to take a lot more thinking. Okay, here we go. And the reason you don't see the avatar, let's see, is he growing in the position? Did I walk past him? No, there it is. Okay, he's right there. We have the chair. I click it. He sits. Now he's repeating. So much for changing the loop mode after the fact. He stopped. That's interesting. Did it not refresh? It's possible it didn't refresh. Let's find out. Loop false, and key press add. Weighted animation starts. False. I may not put it in here. I just may tell it to pause and then come back on. That would be ideal, actually. Pause it, run the animation, then when it's completed running just once, then tell it to go into the sit idle mode, which set idle can be already set. I think I have a plan. Okay, so he sits. Nope, see, we're doing the animation started, but notice he's sitting multiple times. It's because we did a weighted animation. It doesn't know that it completed the first time, so it doesn't know when to stop. Okay, since that's the case, and then he stops here. I'm not sure why it stopped after a period of time. That's just as much of a mystery to me, because I took this piece out, which would have stopped it after 3 seconds. But that's okay. I must have a safeguard. So, under those ideas, what we're going to do is we are going to add a possibility of a key pressed, and instead of calling it do I have a 0? I don't think there's ever going to be a case 0. Okay, case 0 will be stop all animations, because that kind of makes a lot of sense. Case 0, and that will be on hold, is what we'll call that. And then I want a 9999, which will be on resume. Or it could be on hold, on pause. We'll call it pause and resume. Okay, so from there, then if we have a 301, we'll be sit and wait. Now we should be able to do an on pause, which should stop the current animation and not do anything else because we're not telling it to, or are we? Hold on. Yeah, I know what to do. We have this thing where I add up all the various weights. I find out if the weight is a 1 or not, and if it's less than 1, I tell it to do on wait. So what I need to do is, in here, I need a case on pause. Actually, I don't even need to put an on resume. On pause, and this one's going to be wait equals 1. That way it should pause everything, and all I have to do is take 0 back out of the mold and it'll go back to, yeah, take 0 back out and that one will automatically go resume. So the way to resume is just remove 0 from it. So that should allow me to pause all animation, execute the one animation that I want, and then run the animation that I have otherwise. So let's try that. What I'm going to do is, we don't need to change that now. I'm going to tell it to execute an animation, but hold on that for a minute. We don't need the loop false. Press key add is going to be 0. I want to see if that first of all stops the current animation, and then I'm going to wait a couple seconds just so we know it actually stopped, and then I'm going to tell it to remove 0 and then add 3001, which will be our sitting idle. I just want to see it do something different at that point. Then when we have this one loaded, we'll know what it's actually doing. Let's see what happens there. We should completely pause all animation for 3 seconds, and then we should be able to go to the other motion in the movement. So let's see if that actually... We're getting there, because then I can manually execute the movement. When it completes, have it automatically fire off, starting this other cycle. So here we go, animation started, and he sat. Now he's in the sitting position. No. We still have some not loaded right. We shouldn't have had the sitting down motion because we've taken it out of what can be called. 301, according to this core file, is now, make sure I didn't mess up which one I'm calling. We have sit wait, which is 301. That's what it should have done, and 0 should have been stand to sit. There is no other 0. Okay, we're fine with that. I'm not checking to make sure. Is numeric, which 0 is, we're good to go. Okay, just wanted to make sure. Oh, I do have a way of adding a key pressed without sending it that way. If it's not numeric, then it automatically just gives you what you told it to do. Might not need, well, we'll see. Okay. I already did something a little dynamic in there. Okay, let me reload this. I want to make sure. We shouldn't have that one animation loaded. Even though I loaded it, we're not executing it. So there's no reason for the stand to sit to actually happen. We should be able to get that. Okay, going from here. If I click the button, he paused animation, and then he sits. Wait a minute, why is he sitting again? Do I have the right animation in place? On sit wait is what the event should be. Default. And this one should be if it's not listed in any of these. Then, where am I setting the weight? Weight equals... Let me see if the on pause actually happens right here. I know, we're getting there, we're getting there. On pause would be if it gets there, and then default, I want to also, if it goes all the way to default, I want the weight to be 1, which means it's executing something else. And that's actually fine because this is just about movements, and he doesn't need to move. So otherwise, I want the weight to be 1 so that it doesn't affect the, well, that should be able to stop the, because when he's on sitting, I don't want him to be running the other function. So on sit wait. Let's see what happens. I'm trying to see where it is in this ring, and I'm making sure that I'm trying to get it to cancel out certain pieces. But first of all, it's running the stand to sit piece when I don't understand why it would be. See, animation started. It did not say, it did not actually hit those places in the code. That would explain a lot. When I'm doing this stuff, key pressed add is 0. Oh, maybe this one's stopping. I'm looking for greater than 0. Find files. That would explain a lot right there. Key pressed add is this function here. Keyword is not undefined, is or on option if I'm not even executing it here because I'm looking to see if the key code is this. Wait, canvas focus is 1. We should be getting past that. Key pressed. Key pull found. Found equals false. We add it. We're going to track this through and just make sure that it gets to every place we think. Key code equals that, and that's the key code. Then I want to see on this page I want to see that it's actually doing this, which should be right here. Pause animation, and that's going to be paused, and then unpause. Let's see if it gets that far. I need to know if it's getting that far, because then we can take it from there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Bear with me. We're working through some animation schemes. The thing is, I'm doing based on a click, I'm doing a number of animation in a row. So we're going to click here. Animation started. Key code equals 0. It was paused. Okay. Index. Okay. Key pressed add. It's not a function. Key press add. Key code index of. Well. Oh, index of on option. Huh, that did not error out before. Probably because the numbers came through. Huh, yeah, I'm talking to myself. Sorry about that. Just trying to track this down, figure out what happened here. It's not a function because it's actually not text when it comes through as the key code that way. And the problem is there are circumstances when the key code added is actually not a number. So let's see. I know I'm bouncing back and forth between these. Key pressed added. Let me find out. Find all. And we're looking at animation name is a key pressed added. Otherwise, okay, that's, so we can add it by name or we can add it by code. And if we add it by name, yeah, I know what's wrong. The problem is if it comes through as a number, then it doesn't know how to do this as a text. So I could convert these all and run them all as numbers, but then blah, 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 blah. The easiest way is if key code is not undefined, key code equals, well, I could just do plus equals key code with a slash. Now it's treating it as a string, and now we should be able to see if it's loaded anywhere and working. This comparison should compare string to string, which we will, I think we're going to be okay. I think we're going to be okay because JavaScript will automatically bounce back and forth between string and stuff when they compare. Let's find out if that got through that. Because it was trying to add something at the time when it actually had an issue. So let's see. Animation started. Oh, I started an animation and the guy wasn't even in the scene yet. Let's try this again. Okay, animation. He should pause for 3 seconds. Add key code 301. He's not sitting. We should get key code 0. Oh, I didn't remove key code 0. Oh, yes, I did. What I should be having is I know. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Here it is. Okay, so I removed 0 from there, which should have taken that out of there. And what I need to know is, well, the pause didn't still happen because, oh, wait a minute, did it actually happen? Key code 0. It didn't even say it paused. It didn't find the pause. Let's find out what's going on with that. Reload it and double check that, because if it doesn't go to pause, then that's why the other animation is still executing. So load sit, here we go. Now we should have the animations loaded. If I click this once, key code equals 0, but it never actually played it. We need to find out. Well, you know what? Actually, let's try using a variable instead. I mean a number or letter. Let's try using a letter instead. Let's actually say here, because I think I'm breaking everything by trying to do the other part. I think I just broke it by manipulating this string thing here. It needs to be a number when it needs to be a number, and if it's not, then I'm kind of messing up things on itself. I could treat it as strings all the time and then just translate them whenever they're not, but I think I opened up a can of worms until I fixed the whole thing. So for now, let me just see if I put on pause, it should automatically be added as on pause into the thing, and then I should be able to remove it based on what it does after that. So if I click this, on pause, animation started, okay, see. Well, the other way of doing that is straight out, key pressed add. Let me put that back in, but let's save it as a number when it goes in, if it's numeric. If is numeric key code, then I'm going to do that, else this. That way they're still numeric when they're supposed to be numbers, and they're going to be text when it's supposed to be text. That'll get both conditions, and without having to go all the way through the code and change numbers to lettering and stuff. Let's see if that does it, because if we get past this piece, then we should be able to add that item in here. See, load sit. Okay, so the sitting functions are loaded. Now if I click this, okay, on pause, but it actually didn't pause. So here, let's track that down. In here, see, on pause, I should have been reading this on pause right here in this section. Because it didn't, first of all, I don't think I use the 0 now. I think that part isn't going to say it. Oh, that's why, because it's, oh, I put it here. Okay, so this should have automatically added move events on pause directly as a word right into here. Once it does that, we should get on pause down here, which I want to know if it's actually reading it. Oh, we should have said on pause. So case isn't on pause. Let me just do that for a minute, but it didn't read that. Let me find out. Let's find out what each key is as it hits this point. And key equals key. because I want to know if it's running more than one key or is it just sitting here spinning on pause. It's perfectly fine if it is, but on wait shouldn't be happening. Okay, key find, key equals false. Okay, that was just some logic to make sure that we had something there. Okay, so since we have on pause, that should repeat, and we should know why there's an on wait, but the on wait is not on pause. On pause should have gotten us to here, and it should repeat the words on pause. Let's find out if that's... We need to make sure we're getting that far before we go any farther. Even if it is for 3 seconds, we should get some type of response. Okay, it's doing on wait. No problem there. I click the button, and it's doing on wait again. Why? I need to make sure the found key code on pause, add key code on pause. It should be in the queue, but it's still saying on wait, which means this never happened because we never got it to say that. But we never got it in there. Key on wait. I know, I feel like I'm going in circles. Anybody else feel that way? I guess after 3 hours of doing this, I'm hitting circles. Okay. Why is this happening? Let's find out. Movements that are put in here. Movement lengths on wait. If length equals 0, no, we should have gotten... Okay, let me make sure this one is happening, because this is where it would have had to find it and add it for us. And that should be key pressed K, which is, we'll find out what that is. If it doesn't get added there, then that's, we've got a breakdown before it ever gets that far. Key on wait, that's fine. Notice it's already waiting and we haven't even got the avatar in the scene yet. Okay, it's fine. Okay, there he is. And when I click this, add key code, add here on pause. On pause is there. So then oops, sorry. This code. So it's added in here. I'm trying to see. Oh. Well, if I add key pressed and I don't tell it to unadd key pressed, it should keep on going. Move events, let's find out. I think what's happening is right here, key pressed length is 0. Movements length. I want to make sure it's not doing this when I do that, because this would clear it. Well, it would have added another item. There should be more than one then. Well, you know something? It's after 1 o'clock here, and I think it's about time I get some lunch and everything else and come back on a full stomach and see what I can do. What's happening is this. I'm telling it to put a pause in here, and I sent it in this way, and we know that it told it to pause, but for some reason in this cycle, when it looks at what the events are, something in here is telling it to switch over to on wait. And I got to double check a number of these different processes to see which piece it's hitting. Somewhere out there. Yeah. FIFO goes west. No. Okay, but I got to find out where that's going on, because what's happening is it's not sustaining it as an option to pause this animation. So if we haven't paused the animation, what's going on is we're actually just dropping back into the regular cycle of waiting, and we're not able to pause it and run a different animation. So I need to do a little bit of, I need to eat lunch. And then I'm going to dig back in on this point and see what we can do. And I'm sure at some point here I'm going to figure out exactly what's going on in that area. But I need to track it down a little bit more. Because right here, it's already telling me this is the one you're going to run and it's going to work. But somewhere, something about all this stuff, when it came in here, it right in this, I have a feeling it's in this section right here, where it says, okay, run it, but then, oh no, you're not running it anymore, and it turns it back off, or something's happening. So I need to find out why it's cutting it at this point. Maybe because, I just found it. For key and animations running. This is only checking it if it's a key and animations running. Pause is not a running animation. That means this is only checking animations running. Oh. Because it doesn't exist, that is automatically coming up as blank, and it will not have a pause. It'll never have an animation that you can turn it to. It will never have an animation that you can do anything with. You can't send the animation wait because there is no wait. I think I already fixed this. I think I know what it is. When we load the avatar, no, when we create the avatar, here's where it is. When we load it, I actually created, I've done this before, I totally forgot that this was an issue. When we create the avatar, and I create these animations that it has loaded, I've dealt with this before. Yeah, I know what it is. What happens is we have these animations, we tell them to load or do whatever, and we need a dummy in place to be able to set the weight and not interfere with anything else. We basically, there is no on pause animation per se. But if we don't load an animation placeholder in the code, it doesn't know how to set it to be on pause, and yeah, that's the issue. Okay, well, I found the issue. I do know what it is. Because these animations are running, and it's only checking running animations, it's doing all of this stuff up here. And we're not even hitting it until we get to this point right here. Now, what I could do is I could bypass this with this pause. See, it's not a key in animations running, so we never get into that loop. But if movements, let me check this. If movement events, let me see. Oh, that's an idea. There it is. I've done this one before. I have a function that made this a lot easier. If this is in the array, on pause, is in the array, then weight equals 1, which will mean that it finds out that the weight's already there, and we should be able to shut off everything else with zeros and then hit this one up with actually weight is less than 1, weight will equal 1, it won't run that, and I think we can shut it off. Let's find out if that paused it. Get that out of the way. I think we just found it. That'd be nice. I'd like to end on a good note. And then I want to go get lunch. Okay, so far we're on weight. And when I click here, now we're on pause. And then we went back to on wait after 3 seconds, which is what I expected. So we're on pause and on wait. No, that didn't wait 3 seconds. Okay, first thing I'm going to do, let's not take out the wait. This is what's throwing us off. 3 seconds later, we're telling it not to do it. I just want to pause it and stop it. Let's see if we can stop the animation with our on pause. He should stop moving around because the on wait command should completely stop. Otherwise, we may need to still set that particular command to nothing, but we'll see. Okay, we have that, and he stopped. Yes, we did it. Okay, we found a way to pause the animation, which is really good because now we're in the pause mode, and now we can run an animation without affecting any other thing on him. We won't be moving it from the on wait stage or anything like this. We'll be moving it right into these other parts. Okay, but we're good on that part. So now we're able to pause the animation. Oh, he went back to it. Oh, that's so funny. I think there's an eventual catch-all if anything goes wrong. And so eventually it will drop back out of that and clear that. But I have it set for quite a bit because you notice how it waited for 423 cycles before it decided to do something else. And if you change again, it probably resets that clock. If not, we'll worry about that at another time. But that has to do with what we're doing. And we can tell it to stop. And awesome, I think we've got it. So now when we click on that thing, we can stop that animation, tell it to run a different animation, then resume the animation with going to the sit position, which will be the on sit. So we're going to actually take this. We're going to, let's wait 5 seconds. I just need a little bit more pause just so we know it did it. And then we're going to press this 301 key, which should automatically send it to the sit wait position. Since that should actually work. Actually. I know, I used the word actually. If he even resumes any animation after 5 seconds, then we know that we have control over it, and we just have to check some more stuff with it. But here we go. Last test. Let's hope it's a good one. Ready, set, click. And he's on pause. And after 5 seconds, what does he do? He sits. Ooh, nice. And because he's not in a setting position, now he's going into all kinds of wacky, what do I do next? He's actually running different poses and modes. But no problem. No problem. We can work with that. Okay. We're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. Hey, that's fine. It just found all the animations that I had there. Okay, so we've gotten a lot closer. When I come back, when we do this next, we'll play around some more because there's some things we have to do for this whole sequence. For example, he's standing here. He comes walking over. He sees a chair that he wants to get into. What does he do? He clicks the chair, but that doesn't mean sit right where you're standing. That means he needs to first walk over to the chair positioned directly in front of it, make sure he's rotated so that his back is to the chair, and then goes into that sit motion. So we're going to create a sequence of events that triggers and happens one after another until he's sitting. Then we'll trigger on some things and figure out how to get it back afterwards. But that's where we are now, and we were able to get it there. So we've made progress. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to get some lunch, and I hope you guys have a great day. Make sure you follow me so you know when I'm online, and we'll go from there. About an hour ago, hey, we got beat about. I'm so bad about that. My apologies. I should have shouted out to you a long time ago. It's so awesome. Thank you for following. I really appreciate it. Some of the stuff I'm doing right now is precursors to doing other stuff. For example, if you're going to play a game and you have it loaded into an area, when you walk up, you may want to load certain animations and then unload them when you leave the game area. So let's say I have paintball. Well, as soon as you go in there, now you know how to pick up a paintball gun. You know how to hold one, how to shoot one, everything else that's related to it. And when you go to leave, hey, sets down the paintball gun. Now he goes back to his normal mode of not having a paintball gun and all the functionality. That's the kind of stuff that we're designing into this. But we're actually creating it so you can make your own game plugins, drop them into the scenes, and use them on any one of these scenes that we've created. So thank you for joining me. We're going to be back in a little, we'll be back again. So thank you for following me. I really appreciate that. And I'll see you again real soon. There we go.